Seven Brides for Seven Brothers not only does not endorse the violence it depicts, but pretty clearly condemns the patriarchal brutality at the center of the movie. It's always been popular to reflect on old media and see the ways in which we've changed as a culture. And I mean, always. But one film that has recently come under that knife has done so at the cost of pretty much any literate interpretation. 1954's Seven Brides for Seven Brothers was an original film musical, written directly for screen and directed by Stanley Donen, who also directed Charade and Singin' in the Rain. And in the TikTokification of film consumption, where it is in a content creator's best interest to stir up emotions instead of actually educate you, it has become rather popular to create disingenuous content about the audacity of Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. The film follows Adam, a burly mountain man who brings his new wife back home with him without telling her he has 6 brothers, who he expects her to clean and feed up after, which she is rightfully offended by. Thus begins a slow reformation of the 6 younger brothers, which culminates in a barn raising where they get the opportunity to meet and dance with beautiful girls in the town, which they ruin by getting into a fight. And it's at this point that all of the positive work that Millie has been doing to reform these boys is undermined by Adam, who is still a jerk and convinces his 6 younger brothers that the best way to get these girls to fall in love with him is to kidnap them, because in his macho illiterateness, he misunderstood the story of the Saban women. And the film goes from letting us know that he is stupid to then also showing us that this traumatizes the girls they kidnap. And when the brothers bring these girls back home, Millie disapproves. And Adam, in his unrelenting stubbornness, is banished from the farm. Because he's the villain, the person who convinced his impressionable younger brothers to do this awful thing is the villain. And here's where I think people think this movie is an endorsement, even though audiences for decades didn't, is that it has a happy ending. Everything works out in the end, because the brothers see that what they did was wrong and are able to endear themselves to the girls without the influence of Adam. And because Adam, through an arc of conflict which includes his youngest brother standing up to him, is allowed to change. The movie doesn't endorse their actions, it depicts a world in which people can learn and grow past their biggest crime. And I actually suspect that there are a lot of people for whom that is the real part that doesn't age well. And that's a shame, because it's a gorgeous and hilarious film with wonderful music and pretty well vocalized condemnations of toxic masculinity, as well as some broad gender humor that essentially depicts a lot of the characters as adolescently stupid, which I think is pretty well offset by how smart and literate Millie is. It's a broad comedy with pretty colors, great music, and amazing dancing, as long as you actually watched the film as opposed to letting a content creator tell you it's a work of evil.